start a while ago, but I get 2 tries. So in our society, being single is still heavily stigmatized and is often perceived as something out of the norm. So it is more acceptable to be part of a couple than it is to be single, I'm told. So join us this morning to discuss the topic, It's Okay to be Single. Our entrepreneur, public speaker, and associate clinical psychologist who you would have seen a few times here on Smile Jamaica, Kamala McWhinney, right of screen, and as well as gender specialist and lecturer at the University of the West Indies, Carla Moore. Welcome, ladies. Morning. Welcome to Smile Jamaica.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Kamala, let me start with you. So we're not talking about single as opposed to not being married. You're talking about single because you don't have a significant other. That's what we're talking about here, right?
That's right, yeah. You don't have a bay or a boo.
Does it differ whether it's the man that is single or the lady that's single? Do we look at it differently?
No, I think in many ways we look at it the same in terms of stigmatizing it as negative because we put so much value on that space of, having a significant other, and we kind of reflect it on our worth. So if you're really nice, like what you said, you would have a partner, right? And I think it goes in many ways. I can't speak for all men or all women, but in many spaces I feel like the pressure and the stigma is the same.
Carla, you've been going like this and like you're agreeing with everything. I didn't know all of this because I didn't know that there was an issue if you're single, people look at you differently. I didn't know that. And I'm being very serious. I didn't know that. So what's the problem here, Carla? Why am I feeling inadequate or whatever the word is because I'm single? What's the issue?
So if you're single, we assume it means that nobody has chosen you, right? And this particular part plays out differently for women because we still come from a culture where we understand that a woman, if she's beautiful and she's nice and she can cook and she's smart, then some man is supposed to choose her. If nobody has chosen you, then something is wrong with you. And then especially because we come out of a Christian tradition that tells you, he who finds a wife finds a good thing. We approach most of our relationships from that perspective, which is why you have people in a secondary school who are dating and acting like this is their forever person, because every relationship must be the one that leads to marriage.
Where did this come from? We were always like this, or this is a millennial thing? Where did this come from?
No, this is here a long time. I mean, talk and date. That's what Jamaicans do, right? Americans date. Jamaicans talk and date. You talk to one person and then you date with the person. And then if that don't work, you start with the next person. But a lot of it actually comes back down to Christian heritage, like a European Christian type heritage that teaches you that you are supposed to be with as few people as possible, ideally just one person, but you're supposed to be with somebody because you're better as a unit and the man needs a helpmeet, so he needs a partner.
Better as a unit. You agree with that or no?
I agree with it.
Yeah.
I think that there's benefits to being a unit and there's benefits to being an individual. I think there's an issue because a lot of us, we act as though we weren't born alone. You were born alone and alone you shall die. But we act as though the time alone is so bizarre. It's the worst thing. Your heart broken, nobody no want to trigger in your face. When the fact is, most of your life you will actually be alone. And even when you're in a relationship with somebody, you're still a unit. But we don't pay attention to ourselves. We pay attention to ourselves for the sake of finding a partner.
Yeah, Kamala, same question to you. Is it better to be in a relationship?
It depends on what you want and where you're going in life. And there's definitely benefit to, even if you're in a relationship, as Carla so eloquently put it, always create space for you-ness, and for coming into a space of understanding yourself and having a good relationship with yourself. And just to add to the first point, I think there's, especially because women have a kind of passive approach sometimes that the man must choose you or a partner must choose you, then sometimes we end up having more pressure in the female space because of that.
I'm reading here, Miss Moore, the animated and effervescent gender specialist underscored that singlehood is an opportunity to know yourself. And it says, I am single on purpose, declared Carla Moore. Carla, explain, why are you single on purpose?
I'm single by choice. Yes, I'm single on purpose because I started dating at university and was kind of in a relationship all the way up to now. And that is many years because I are quite mature. And then what happens is the same issue keeps popping up in your relationships. And then you have to stop and ask yourself, is this issue with the other people, or is this my issue that is being mirrored back to me in the relationship space so I can deal with it? And so me being single is actually me making a decision to give myself the time and the space to devote my energy to healing things that I need to heal with myself, but also to just focus on yourself. Like sometimes in a relationship, when you take time for yourself, you can feel I'm not meeting my partner's needs because it's taking me so much of my time to do what I need to do pertaining to me. So sometimes it's all right to just not have a partner so you can devote your energy in that direction. And that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, let me ask Kamala about what you just said. Does it not matter who you're with? Because can't you be in a relationship but you still have your own space, your gentleman or your lady not pressuring you into anything? Can't that happen?
Yeah, man, that's a thing for sure. But I feel like having a good understanding of where you are in your journey and having a certain level of self-awareness and emotional intelligence, sometimes you can be honest with yourself and say, right now, perhaps is not the best time for me to be coupled or in any kind of space. Or you may realize that for this season, in terms of what I'm working on and focusing on, now is the time for me to just take a break, just do some more process and also focus more intentionally on myself. But definitely, Neville, you do have partners who can say, let's also have a life outside of this relationship so that we can both flourish.
Go back to Carla then. So Carla, can't that happen? I mean, you already stated why you're single and stuff, but could you find a nice gentleman like myself who would give you that opportunity to be you and do what you want, and we still have a nice relationship? Can't that happen?
It can. And if and when I decide to stop being single, it will only be with a nice person like that who gives me space for me. But for me, at this moment, I think the best thing is to not. And also, there are certain patterns that I have that when I go back in, if I go into relationships, I fall into them. And it's kind of like I'm building a new muscle for a new way to be, and I have to take some of the stress off of that muscle by not asking myself to be in a relationship while figuring out that new way of being Carla. Oh. And so for that period, the time alone works.
Yeah, Carla, you could have just said a nice person like you instead of just a nice person. I don't understand you, but set it up and you don't go with it.
I don't know why I'm like this, Never. I'm sorry, I'm like this.
This is interesting because you obviously are quite effervescent, as I said, and you seem to be nice in your space. So I appreciate that, and I thank you for joining us this morning. Take care and be safe, all right? Kamala, always great to see you, and hopefully sooner than later you will be beside us here when we can get rid of the social distancing.
Looking forward. Thanks, Neville.
Thanks, guys. Kamala McWhinney, entrepreneur, public speaker, and associate clinical psychologist, as well as gender specialist and lecturer at the University of the West Indies, Carla Moore. Coming up next, accidental inventions that changed the world. I think he's one of them. I think I'm an accident.